to the 500th live stream, so I will appreciate that from you guys. So when a non-physical form takes residence in a general or a specific location in your physical or energetic field. So this is what it means to be psychically attacked or violated, okay, either by thought or either by entity or energetic debris or whatever it may be or may be called, okay? Why does it happen? It's very, very important before we start doing things like protection work, before we start doing removals, that we understand why it is that we are dealing with something like this. Ever so important, because if you don't understand where it's actually coming from, then it's most likely that it will just repeat itself. So this is why we are discussing and we are investigating at this point of this show, okay? Thanks for the hearts, guys. Really do appreciate that. Beautiful. So, why does it happen? Overuse of natural or artificial stimulants can be one reason. When I say natural, oh, I love this stuff, I'm about to pee my pants in excitement, says Erica. Don't do that. Okay, so it could be natural stimulants or artificial stimulants. So let's just say, for example, that there's nothing wrong with weed, but if you do too much of it, that's quite natural. It can actually blow out your energy fields, okay? So whether artificial or natural, everything in moderation really is the key at the end of the day, yeah? It could happen because of cultural or religious or suspicion, beliefs, programs or systems, okay? So for example, I live in the Mediterranean and we really do have that quite a lot in our culture and the belief system, and there's a lot of suspicion in the area where I am located. So people do tend to be quite affected. Whereas other areas of the globe, for example, hey Erhan, like the UK, for example, it's not as intense in ratio of population like it would be, say, here in Cyprus in ratio of the population, yeah? So it means that attacks and, you know, these kind of violations are more prominent somewhere where it's believed in more or where we are invested in it more. Does that make sense? So culture, religion, suspicion. Another reason why it may happen is negative karmic deficits, yeah, which means that if you've done a bunch of nasty stuff, then it could catch up with you. Yeah, it does. It really does make a difference. We could also like be bringing it along from other times and places. So if you've had experiences where you've dabbled in this kind of thing, sort my music out, in other lifetimes, then you may have brought it with you to resolve in this lifetime. Thanks for the hearts, guys, working up to the 1 million. So other lifetimes could be, you know, an important factor in this. Another way that we may be dealing with these kind of things is because of physical or psychological imbalances. Yeah, so if you are physically sick, you can bring it with, yes, you can bring it with you. So if you are dealing with stuff now that's connected to it, it could be because there's a link from another time and place and you're just repeating stuff out, or it's playing out because it's not being dealt with. So that's another way, another reason why this stuff can happen. Physical or psychological imbalances, particularly if we have a weak immune system. This means that our natural protective defenses are low, which means that we can be very porous, allowing in entities or thought forms of others to violate our space. Yeah, so that's another way that it can happen. Psychological imbalances, so stuff meaning like if you have fears or low self-esteem, or you have violation issues, like emotional issues, like you may have had issues where you have literally been violated in your lifetime, that can create a window where we can allow entities to come in and take of us in our space. So this is another reason. So the reason why I'm sharing these reasons, if something sort of like corresponds to your own experiences, this could be a reason why you are experiencing psychic attacks, whether you are in your conscious state or your sleep state or whatever state that it might be, reasons why it may be happening to you. Erica says, yes, I heard that too. I also heard that they go after the weak, children and vulnerable people. Absolutely. Yes, that does happen also. They do like to feed actually off of light and off of pure energy. So it's a little bit like head lice. Head lice don't like dirty hair. They like clean hair, you know. So it could be a very nice place to reside if you're nice and clean. So if you have any of these windows though, then, you know, they're going to come in through the window and you will have energetic squatters in your space that have all of these different, names, of course, yeah? So that's another way. Another reason why it may happen is because you may be an individual with exceptional extrasensory perception skills, yet are sensitive. So it may happen to you because of this as a growth mechanism so that you can grow. They are from the dark, but they need to feed off the light, Erica says. The lice is a great example. Yes, that is like a classic example how people can relate to how that might work. Absolutely. Another reason why it may happen is if we are dabbling in occult practices without knowledge of the intent of these particular practices or their purpose. So this is very important. So if you are, you know, on an esoteric path, I would suggest that you will do a deep investigation of it and find out its purpose and its function and, you know, why it is what it is. And this will help you to understand what exactly this particular purpose serves. It's very important, otherwise we can find ourselves going down the wrong lane. There is no wrong because we're going to get to where we want to get to, but why suffer in this way? You know, why be, taken over, or why be suffering because of paranormal and psychic violation? And it can very much happen through different modalities, so be careful with that, yeah? That's another way that it can happen. I've seen it and experienced it. Right, Erica? Exactly, yes. Similar to that, parallel to that, is dabbling in occult practices that involve the violation of one's space or service to self. So, an example of that might be is that you go to take a session from somebody because you want something of somebody and you are trying to make changes in another person's space without their consent. This is violation. This puts you into the bracket actually of black magic and dark occultism, and that automatically makes you a candidate for being psychically violated or attacked, yeah, or having an entity to take residence in you in some way or another. So you've got to be very careful with that too, yeah. So be careful with your practice and make sure that it isn't service to self in a nasty way that involves trying to change something or force something upon somebody else. This is a no-go, yeah? Really? So is that like paranormal karma? It kind of is, yes. You just need to be aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it, basically, and make sure that it isn't false ego driven. If it's false ego driven, then you could be a candidate for psychic attack because of that. Okay, so we need to be very honest and humble with ourselves and our motives too. Now, is it important to know the location of this entity or this violation or this psychic attack? Sometimes yes and sometimes no is the answer. It is important to disclose it if the energy is stagnant. So that means if it's become stuck somewhere, you need to know where it is, yeah? Perhaps it's roaming, so it can go from one part of your field to another. Maybe it roams from mind to energy field to DNA to one of the chakras to a meridian. Sometimes they have this roaming quality about them. Also, it's important to know if it morphs into other frequencies. So sometimes these forms can morph, you know. So it can come across as a form, let's say, and then it might morph into a frequency, then it might morph into a being or an object. They have or can have the ability to morph. So the more you understand the, you know, the mechanics and the functions of these kind of negative energies, then the more likely you are to have more success with getting rid of it permanently. This is why I'm mentioning it. This doesn't mean that you must become an expert in dark forces. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that if you have an expanded, open awareness towards that thing, then you are more likely to be efficient in it. However, my personal, yes, like shape-shifting, exactly. It's like shape-shifting to morph. Now, the other thing that you need to be careful of is be careful, because it doesn't mean if you know a thing or two about a thing or two, as Robert De Niro says, that you should attempt to deal with it. I would suggest that, hey Stephen, I would suggest that you allow a professional to deal with it if it's something that's you know been troubling you for a while, or that's causing some real havoc. My advice is for you to seek professional assistance, you know, in this area, okay? And one of those people are yours truly, myself, of course. But otherwise, this is general information that will help you. And in our next transmission, I'm going to take you to a general process to be able to deal with that. And that will be on Wednesday at approximately the same time. Okay, so there are hundreds of methods. So we are going to use just one method in our next show that will involve sound, geometry, and hand circuitry. Okay. Now, it's going to be very general because in a lot of these cases we do need to be specific. So we're going to do the best that we can and hope for the best outcome. So does that make sense for you? And, you know, if it's not too deep and if it's not too crazy, then we're going to give it a lash. Erica says, I trust you 150%. I never delve into this, but if I did, you would be the only one I'd trust. Well, there are other people that do deal with this stuff, and you know, there's nothing wrong with having a go yourselves. So that's what Wednesday's show is going to be all about. Okay, so that's, you know, all of the specs for today. I hope for you that you will kind of perhaps replay it, contemplate it, or watch it on my YouTube channel, you know, whatever medium it is that you prefer. And then that way you'll be more prepared for the transformation process in order to extract, dissolve, and be rid of this kind of nasty stuff. But yeah, I do invite you to explore it for yourself, and then that way we'll be more prepared for Wednesday's show so that we can be ready to deal with it. How does that sound? Good? And so if it's good, I do invite you once again to share it on with your followers and your community. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yeah, where there's loads of you know, yummy, juicy stuff over there too. And so with that, my friends, I wish you love, and may the truth always be the guiding force that is with you. You know what this is about. You know, I don't want to pussyfoot around it and make it gimmicky, because it's not. This isn't like, woo, you know, quick solutions and it's all done and dusted. You know, you need to know the truth about stuff. If you don't do your investigation, then you're not going to get to the solution. Okay, so this is what we've got to do. You're very, very welcome, Daniela. Thank you for being in the house this fine evening. And it's so good to have you as well, Erica. I really have missed your contribution. Lovely to have you back. And hope to see you again Wednesday. Until then, be good. If you can't be good, be careful. It is a lifelong journey, but you know what? Embrace it, Stephen. It's all good. You know, it's all good, because the more you do, I missed you too, darling, tons. The more you do, it becomes fun, and it's not arduous. You know, it's not a mountain you've got to climb. It's just an enchanting road to travel, I would say. Yeah. So enjoy your travels on whatever it is that you need to resolve and heal with yourself, or discover, disclose about yourself. And in that way, by doing that for self, then of